got the top 25 NFL free agents that I think that the Raiders should target. I'm Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Las Vegas Raiders Report. And free agency starts March 18th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And right now, as it stands, as I made this video, the cap space, $57.3 million. That is currently 9th most in the NFL. When I look at all the Raiders' needs, I see linebacker, wide receiver, safety. Some of you might say quarterback. Some of you might say offensive line, interior defensive line. But I think linebacker, wide receiver, and safety, those are the three biggest Raiders' needs. So today's show is all around free agents that the Raiders should go out and sign in 2020. But if you're a loyal watcher, if you subscribe to the show, if you got those noties turned on, you'll know that this is a two-way communicative channel. So I want you to name a free agent that the Raiders should sign in 2020. Throw it in the comments section. If you want to be an overachiever, you can also DM it to me on Instagram at MitchellRenz365. Let's get right into it now. Number 25 on my list, it's Jimmie Ward, safety from the 49ers. Can kind of do it all, a versatile player, and I think that's one of the reasons why he will be a player that the Raiders target. Let's go now to 24. Maliek Collins. Might not be the most talented defensive tackle out there, but he has the connections with Rod Marinelli, and he's on the Raiders target board. Let's go now to wide receiver, Breshad Perriman. And for the Raiders that are looking for a little bit of outside speed, you're going to be able to get it here with Perriman, and I think actually at quite a bit of a discount compared to some of the other players out there who you're about to see here in a little bit. So in 2019, Perriman kind of had a resurgent year, and the numbers and the games that I really look at for him this past season were the last few weeks when Mike Evans was out, when Chris Godwin was out. If you want a player who can be a solid wide receiver 2 for you and stretch the field, maybe help it out in special teams a little bit, I think Perriman's your guy. Let's now go to number 22. I think he can overall be a pretty solid, strong safety for the Raiders. And I don't know about you, Monica. I know she absolutely loves Clinton-Dix. Number 21 here, Marcus Mariota. And I think as a quarterback, I want somebody that can open up the playbook a little bit. And let's not get it twisted. I'm a Derek Carr believer, and I think going out and get Mariota, he becomes your backup quarterback now to Carr. Just gives you a little bit more insurance in case something happens to Derek, or if you're trying to switch some things up a little bit. I get it. He was 2-4 with the Tennessee Titans this past year. But for me, maybe you bring him in. Maybe you make him a Taysom Hill. Maybe you add 10 plays to your playbook that defensive coordinators have to worry about just a little bit more. So I was pretty surprised when I saw this number. Only 53% of all my views come from subscribers. So what I want you to do, you might get with an ad break if you're watching this on YouTube. While the ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to click the subscribe button, okay? Because this is an important message I'm giving you. Even though this whole Gobert thing's going on, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to give you videos every single day. Let's go in now to number 20 on my list. Crazy hair, Robby Anderson. Another wide receiver who's going to be able to stretch the field. But personally, between you and me, I think he's going to stay with the New York Jets. Number 19, I'm not the best reader, but I can read his name. DJ, solid defensive end, defensive tackle for the Texans. I do think he's a little bit more of an interior lineman. At least that's how he would fit on our team. Let's now go to 18. It's Trae Waynes. And if I'm looking at just talent, Waynes might be a little bit higher on this list, but you also got to consider what you have to pay him and how he would fit with our personal defense. That's why he's number 18. Number 17, we're going to go wide receiver A.J. Green, and A.J. is a player that I love. In a world filled with absolute divas at the wide receiver position, A.J. Green shows up, does his job, and gets it done well. The issue is he hasn't been able to get on the field. Back in 2018, dealt with some injuries. 2016, played in only 10 games, still put up almost 1,000 yards. But when he's healthy, he is one of the best receivers in the league. The issue, he's over 30 years old, and this Raiders team, they're starting to go a little bit younger. Number 16 here on my list of Raiders' top free agency targets, it's Brandon Scherff, who I don't see going back to the Redskins. There were some rumors around him potentially getting tagged. I don't see that happening. The reason why he's on my list here is because I anticipate the Raiders moving on from Gabe Jackson, and if that happens, Scherff, I'm telling you right now, he's going to start popping up on a lot of Raider shows. And I'm hoping that you guys are starting to pop up all over the globe wearing these t-shirts, jatsports.com/RaidersGreen1. I love St. Patty's Day. It's a lot of fun. You guys know that I like to keep the creative juices flowing, if you will. So I want you guys to wear these shirts, Raiders Green 1. That's the one that's on screen. This next one, I actually like a little bit more. So 30% off. Use promo code FREESHIP at checkout. Again, I will put it in the descriptions. I will put it in the comments below. If you want to go rep your team during St. Patty's Day, don't be the guy that goes to Walmart or Party City last minute. Don't be that guy. Get your shirt here at the Raiders Report. Number 15 now on my list, it's Christian Kirksey. And if you watched my latest rumors video, you'll know that I talked about him, and I'm going to talk about him again. So we've moved on from Tier Whitehead. Not a surprise. Cut him, saved $6.25 million. And then Kirksey, he was released by the Browns on March 10th. And then just a few hours later, we get news that he's on his way to Las Vegas, where now he has met with the Raiders. That was on March 11th. That's Wednesday. In terms of needs, it's a major need for this team. We are very, very thin at linebacker as it stands. The issue with Kirksey is I'm a little bit worried about his health and if he can stay on the field. He is a 28-year-old young linebacker who in 2017, 2016 proved to be one of the better linebackers in the league. But in 2018 was only able to play 7 games, and then this past year only able to play 2 games. If healthy, the hard-hitting linebacker will definitely be on Mike Mayock and John Gruden's radar. Let's go down to number 14 here on my list. It's Emmanuel Sanders, and I think he would be an absolute perfect fit for this team in terms of offense and help with Derek Carr. The issue is we're going with a young movement. Sanders, at age 33, not part of that young movement. Now, number 13, maybe my favorite name to say, Nick Kwiatkoski, inside linebacker of the Bears, and he had a lot of big shoes to fill. I talked about how much I like this kid on my linebacking video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I give my top 8 linebackers that the Raiders could go out and target in free agency. Speaking of linebackers, we're staying here with Josh Bynes. He's a player that you can put in the middle linebacking position, but for a team that needs players, especially at the linebacking position, that can cover tight ends and that can cover running backs over the middle, you're looking at Bynes. Warning, though, he's not the best tackler. Let's go now to number 11, James Bradberry, cornerback from the Carolina Panthers. And I don't really care what PFF has him rated as. I still think he's one of the better cornerbacks right now on free agency market. However, I am a big believer that he is not going to go back to the Panthers. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to go to the Raiders either. I think he's going to sign with the Washington Redskins, where his old head coach, Ron Rivera, is now currently the new head coach. So, first question I asked you guys, give me a player that the Raiders should sign in free agency. How about this? Now I want you to name a free agent that the Raiders should avoid in 2020, okay? Because you're going to see a lot of big names out there. You're going to hear a lot of big names. But what I want you to think about is how the best fit's going to happen. So, I'm going to tell you the top free agent that I want the Raiders to avoid. It's Amari Cooper, and if we're just talking about talent, if we're talking about top needs, I mean, wide receiver is one of the Raiders' biggest needs. And Amari Cooper, believe it or not, he is the number 1 wide receiver on the free agent market. The issue is we've already done this song. We've already done the dance. I don't want Amari Cooper. He wants to be a Cowboy. He didn't want to be a Raider. So for every single person out there that is watching this video right now, if you agree with me, I want you to like it. So this video better get over 10,000 flipping likes. Now let's get into my top 10 Raiders free agency targets. Cornerback, Kendall Fuller of the Kansas City Chiefs. And some of you might be like, wait, Mitch, why are we going out trying to get Kendall Fuller? For me, I think he's a very versatile player that can play corner or safety. And for those of you that are going to look at just PFF stats, and for those of you that are just going to look at some film, what I want you to do is go back and look at Kendall Fuller's film at the Chicago Bears, where he played cornerback. And I think for the Raiders, you could put him at cornerback. The issue is with the Chiefs, they tried to move him back to safety. Didn't work out that well. Kind of reminds me a lot of what the Raiders tried to do with LaMarcus Joyner. We're going to stick here at the cornerback position because it is a major need. I'm going to go with Chris Harris. And back in 2016, John Gruden said that Chris Harris was the most underrated player in the entire NFL. Yes, Chris Harris is over the age of 30, so in terms of age, don't know if it's the best fit, but in terms of talent, Chris Harris still has it. Number 8 on my list now, it's Kyle Van Noy, and if you're just looking for a stand-up linebacker that can also get after the quarterback, Van Noy is a very, very solid option. One player that it's always in my DMs, it's Shaq Barrett, who let's just put this simple. This dude bet on himself, and it worked out very, very well. I mean, he had 19.5 sacks this past season. Now, that should worry some people. Think about the fact that he's in a contract year, goes out, balls out in a contract year. I'm a little bit worried that he might not play as hard going forward, But if we can get a player that's putting up this type of production, that's pretty solid. But also, I know it says linebacker. He would probably end up playing a little bit of a split defensive end linebacker role. We're going to stick with linebackers here. I'm going to go to Joe Schobert, middle linebacker of the Cleveland Browns. And if you're just looking for a player that kind of does everything well, doesn't do anything like exceptional, but he was a converted defensive end out of college, and he's really starting to pick up the middle linebacking role. All right, let's dive in now to my top 5 free agents. Justin Simmons, free safety of the Broncos. And let me just say that I absolutely love him as a player, and if he could be in silver and black, I think it'd look a lot better than orange. That's between you and me. But I'd be absolutely shocked if he didn't re-sign with the Broncos because he is a do-it-all player, and I know that he's going to get a contract of $14, $15 million a year. Heck, he might even get a little bit more than that. But let's be real, he deserves it. He's one of the players that doesn't get a lot of love on the Broncos because you got players like Von Miller, because of Chris Harris and this whole no-fly zone. He is a very good free safety, and yes, he's a donkey, but I'd welcome him with open arms to the Raiders. Let's go to number 4 here, another player from the AFC West. It's Chris Jones, and he would be a defensive tackle for us. I know he's listed as a DE for the Chiefs, but hey, that's just part of it. Now, again, here's another player that I would just be absolutely shocked if he hit free agency, and the Chiefs have made all suggestions that they plan on tagging Chris Jones, and I do expect that. And yes, I like P.J. Hall. Yes, I like Jonathan Hankins and Mo Hurst. But if you can go out and add a player the caliber of a Chris Jones, I mean, let's get one thing straight. You do it. He is an unbelievable player at age only 26, knows the division well. That's why Chris Jones is number 4 here on my list. So let's dive in now to my top 3 free agents for the Raiders. Probably no surprise. You guys know that Corey Littleton is a player that I absolutely love, and I think he would fit with what we are trying to do going forward. If you were looking for a linebacker that can cover tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs, I think this is a guy that you should really keep in mind. And he's a very, very fast player, quick learner, and he's a Gruden grinder. And I know I use that term a lot, but I think it's important because Gruden grinders are people that work hard and put in the extra time. And for a player that was a 2016 UDFA, I'm telling you right now, go look at Corey Littleton when he first came into the NFL compared to where he is now. You can see how much work he's put in. He's grown into his body a lot more, and he's a leader. He is a player where if the Raiders go out and get him, he's going to wear a C on his chest. Another player that's going to have a C on their chest if he comes here, he might be the most underrated player in the entire NFL. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that. It's Anthony Harris, and he'd play safety for us. You could probably move him around the football field a little bit. But back in 2018, Harris didn't really get a lot of playing time. And then the Vikings were like, oh, wait, maybe we should give this guy more playing time. And from basically the moment he stepped on the field, he's been a top 3 safety in the entire NFL. And he's just one of these players where whatever the check is, if it's got to be a blank check, I'd be okay bringing him back. I don't know if he's going to end up on the Raiders. He's going to be a very, very coveted player. I can guarantee you one thing. He's not going to go back to the Minnesota Vikings, who have, I believe, negative $12 million in terms of cap space. My number 1 player for the Raiders to target in free agency, it's Byron Jones. And again, you guys aren't probably very surprised. You'll know that I've talked about Byron. He was my top free agent target the first time I made this video, and he continues to be my number 1 target. I mean, a lot of you always tell me he doesn't force turnovers. The Raiders need to force turnovers. My argument with that is he gave up less than 350 receiving yards last year, and on average, when a wide receiver would catch the football, they went less than 6 yards. Byron doesn't let people get open, and when somebody does catch the football on them, they don't go very far. So I appreciate everyone that watches our Raiders Reports videos. I do appreciate everyone that's got their subscribes on, and also, notifications on, and people that subscribe. And if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. I want you to hit me up on IG, see what I'm doing for St. Patty's Day, and I want you to slide in my DMs, and I want you to DM me FA. And now, a word from this really, really creepy guy over here. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the number 1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.